Former President Barack Obama just did an exclusive sit-down interview with CBS Morning's co-host Nate Burleson, where he said this.
Look, I think somehow, and there are a lot of historical reasons for this, gun ownership in this country became an ideological issue and a partisan issue in ways that it shouldn't be. It has become sort of a proxy for arguments about our culture wars, urban versus rural. Race is always an element in these issues. Issues of, class and education and so forth. And so instead of just taking a very practical approach, like we do, let's say, for example, with car safety,
right,
where we say, all right, we got a bunch of accidents, let's have seatbelts and let's make cars safer and let's engineer roads so that we prevent them. Instead of thinking about it in a very pragmatic way, we end up really arguing about identity and emotion and all kinds of stuff that does not have to do with keeping our children safe.
This entire clip is political gaslighting on a devious level. But Obama has always been good with his words, so if you don't pay attention, you won't realize it. So I'm going to show it to you.
Look, I think somehow, and there are a lot of historical reasons for this, gun ownership in this country became an ideological issue and a partisan issue in ways that it shouldn't be.
Gun ownership in this country became ideological when the British sent troops to confiscate our arms during the Battle of Lexington and Concord. Gun ownership in America didn't become ideological, it was always ideological. The ideology was called the protection of individual rights from the government. Obama and the rest of the anti-2A politicians just don't like the ideology because they are a part of a party that wants the government to have more control. I'll let you figure out which party that is. A lot of people think the Second Amendment was written to tell the people what they can and can't do, and that the Second Amendment gives the people the right to keep and bear arms. This is false. The Second Amendment, along with the entirety of the Bill of Rights, was written to tell the government what it can't do. And the Second Amendment doesn't give you rights, it just enshrines your already inalienable rights in a written document.
But the Bill of Rights is a big deal, and here's why. Written by founding father James Madison in 1789, the Bill of Rights makes up the first 10 amendments to the U.S. Constitution. It was designed to limit the power of government and protect the most important rights and liberties of individuals, like the right to freedom of speech, the right to freedom of assembly, and the right to bear arms.
So of course Obama's gonna say gun ownership in this country has become ideological in a way that it shouldn't be. That ideology is the Second Amendment, and that amendment limits his party's power to restrict the people's rights to own firearms. As for gun ownership in America becoming a partisanship issue, aren't you the same guy who said this?
People have been beaten down so long, and they feel so betrayed by government.
Well, it's not surprising then that they get bitter and they cling to guns or religion or antipathy towards people who aren't like them, or a way to explain their frustration.
Gun ownership in America has become a partisanship issue because you make it one. The Democrat Party is the only party trying to restrict people's right to own guns in this country. It's so obvious it's laughable. Look at who the anti-gun groups support. It's almost exclusively Democrats.
It has become sort of a proxy for arguments about our culture wars, urban versus rural. Race is always an element in these issues. Issues of class and education and so forth.
You're the politician that made it a proxy. That was your agenda. During the pandemic, when the people in the city were worried about civil unrest, they didn't hesitate. They went to the gun store and they bought guns.
The FBI releasing information saying 300 million more guns are now in the hands of Americans.
Experts pinpoint the pandemic, protests, and fear to the firearms we're seeing in people's hands.
And as for race, well, there's this.
58%. That's how much gun ownership has increased among Black Americans from 2019 to 2020, according to the National Shooting Sports Foundation. It also found a 49% increase among Hispanic Americans that same year and a 43% increase among Asian Americans. The group estimates that about 40% of 2020 gun sales were made to first-time gun buyers. Now, one explanation for that is that in 2020, according to the FBI, hate crimes reached the highest number in more than a decade.
But what do you expect when the President of the United States is also saying this.
Stand up against the poison of white supremacy, as I did in my inaugural address, to single out as the most dangerous terrorist threat to our homeland is white supremacy.
Seems like to me, no race has a problem exercising their Second Amendment right. Seems like it's just common sense to have a gun for protection. And if anyone is using a gun as a proxy for race, it's you all. And don't get me started on class. You know that recent Supreme Court case that essentially told the states there needs to be a reasonable pathway for people to get a concealed carry license? Well, the only reason that case existed is because New York for the longest time would only give concealed carry permits to the rich, wealthy elites. Now that the Bruin decision has been handed down, giving everyone the ability to get a concealed carry license, this was the reaction from, you guessed it, a Democrat politician.
But I do know, back when the Second Amendment was made a part of the Bill of Rights, that the only people that had handguns were real rich people.
Instead of just taking a very practical approach, like we do, let's say, for example, with car safety,
right,
where we say, all right, we got a bunch of accidents, let's have seatbelts, and let's make cars safer, and let's engineer roads so that we prevent them. Instead of thinking about it in a very pragmatic way, we end up really arguing about identity and emotion and all kinds of stuff that does not have to do with keeping our children safe.
Everything he just said is just highbrow former president bird brain babble, and it's disingenuous. To make cars safer, you didn't ban cars. You made the product safer. You educated people about cars and driving. Recently, a guy killed 8 people with his Range Rover. After this happened, did y'all say we're gonna pass an assault Range Rover ban? No. Instead, you held the driver responsible and you charged him with manslaughter. You don't do this with guns. Instead, with guns, you try to ban them and say it's common sense. That's not common sense. There is nothing common sense about taking guns away from people that are being attacked by criminals with guns. It's stupid and evil all at the same time. Why do you think the people run out and buy guns when there is a possibility for civil unrest? Because common sense dictates that when you are possibly in danger, you want the most effective tool to protect yourself. Everything Obama said is nothing but political gaslighting bullshit. Ask yourself, which party is obsessed with identity politics? Which party keeps telling you evil white men with guns are coming to kill you? Who is the only major party trying to ban guns? Which party makes everything about race? Which party acts like the only thing that matters is the big cities? I hate party politics with a passion. And I've been saying for years that guns aren't political, but I'm not gonna bite my tongue and let Obama come on here and act like his party isn't the party responsible for everything he's complaining about in this video. And I'm not even talking about the people who vote Democrat. There are people who vote Democrat who are also gun owners. I'm talking about the Democrat politicians who keep pushing this nonsense, who are nothing more than the hired guns of the gun control lobby. Nice try, Obama, but if I'm gonna be gaslit, it's gonna be by someone a lot sexier than you with 2 X chromosomes. Guns aren't political. That's why I need your help getting this message to spread on YouTube by clicking the thumbs up button, leaving a comment to let me know what you think of the video, then subscribing to the channel. But most importantly, click that bell symbol. For products featured in this video, click the links in the description.